Hello everyone. Today again I am back with yet another class of ancient Indian history, and today we are going to discuss about Ashoka's Dhamma. When we study ancient history, we know that King Ashoka had adopted Buddhism after the War of Kalinga. His minor edicts basically preach about all the codes and conducts that he wanted to propagate through his philosophy of Dhamma. Now the question is, what was Dhamma? Was it Buddhism? Well, to make your concept better or clear, I would like to start with the fact that Dhamma was not a religion and it cannot be tagged as a political philosophy either. So what was Dhamma? Dhamma was basically certain code of conduct propagated by Ashoka, and he wanted his subjects to follow it for having a peaceful and an integrated centrally administered state where rebellion will be as minimal as possible. So let's write what is Dhamma. If we want to talk about Dhamma, Dhamma was basically code of conduct propagated by whom? Propagated by Ashoka. So it is not, so what is it not? It is a code of conduct, but what is it not? It is not a religion. What is it not? It is not a political philosophy. So these are the two things that you have to remember. Dhamma is a code of conduct, how you should behave, but not a religion or a political philosophy. But even after saying that it was not a religion, we must remember that Dhamma of Ashoka was hugely influenced by Buddhism. So when you read about Dhamma, you see that Ashoka had taken influence from Buddhist books. So which were this Buddhist book? One book was Rahulo Vada Sutta. Then we also had Singhalo Vada Sutta. So these books had inspired Ashoka, and many terminology which is used in Dhamma is also seen in these books. So we can write these were basically Buddhist text from which Dhamma was inspired, or from which terminology of Dhamma was taken by Ashoka. So now let's see what Ashoka himself said when he explained Dhamma. His Dhamma was basically concerned about 2 or 3 things. Let's see what was Dhamma basically concerned about. Dhamma first of all talked about tolerance. Then it talked about non-violence or ahimsa. And finally, it was concerned about moral behavior of people. So let's study these 3 aspects: tolerance, non-violence and moral behavior. What Ashoka himself speaks about tolerance, non-violence and moral behavior. So when we talk about tolerance, Ashoka says that in his empire he wants people to have religious tolerance. Remember, Ashoka's era was an era of many religious differences. Kautilya himself calls Buddhist, Jainas and Ajivikas as Vrishala, means those who do not have any caste or creed. So, Kautilya or Chanakya was a Brahmin, and he didn't had very beautiful feeling about a religion about people who were following different religion. So, he had Brahminical prejudice. Similarly, Buddhism, Jainism, Ajivikas did not accept the Vedic philosophy or Brahminical domination. As such, there was lot of rift within the society. Ashoka wanted to counter such rift. As such, in his Dhamma, when he is talking about Dhamma, he says that people should resist from hurting others. And how should they resist from hurting others? By following Vachagoti. So, when he is talking about tolerance, under tolerance, he used a word called Vachagoti, means restriction of speech. So, when people are talking among themselves, they should restrict what they are expressing. This can also be seen in his policy of discontinuing public gathering or such festival where people gather together. Maybe because he was afraid that in such gathering, religious conflicts may occur. Similarly, he had also discontinued slaughter of animal or rituals which were based on superstition, and that gave lot of domination to Brahmanas. Maybe because he knew that such Brahminical domination may cause more rift and may hurt the sentiment of other sects like Jainism, Buddhists and Ajivikas. So, this is what he talks about when he talks about tolerance. Next, let us talk about non-violence or ahimsa. When he is speaking about non-violence, he uses words. So, let us talk about non-violence. Under non-violence, he uses word Very Ghosha or Bari Ghosha. In his rock edicts, Ashoka declares that after Kalinga war, he has given up the sound of warfare, which is Very Ghosha, and he has adopted the sound of Dhamma, which is known as Dhamma Ghosha. So, he is talking about giving up Very Ghosha, the drum beat of warfare, and adopting Dhamma Ghosha. So, he is saying that from now on he will adopt the drum beat of Dhamma. His empire will work to preach and propagate Dhamma instead of war. And as far as we know, after Kalinga war, Ashoka did not use his army against any of his neighbor, or no other major war was fought. Maybe this theory of non-violence was also propagated to bring internal and external peace with the neighbors and among the tribes who lived within the vast empire of Ashoka. So, let us talk about now this last and the third important aspect on which Ashoka speaks, the moral behavior of people. As far as moral behavior of people are concerned, Ashoka asked his people to have respect for teachers, for elders, for slaves and for women. This shows that he wanted his state to take the responsibility of behaving in a way which will not be hurtful to others. This was somehow connected to bringing internal peace within his state. He wanted his people to take the responsibility of morally behaving within the state so that crime will come down. So, when he speaks about moral behavior, he also says that the people of Mauryan empire should do away with 5 great sin. So, he speaks about 5 great sin. And what are these sin? Of course, as Buddhist canon says, it is jealousy, greed, anger, ego and hatred. Here you again find the influence of Buddhism, because Buddhism also believes that these are 5 great sins. To curb these 5 great sins, Ashoka further speaks about Bhava Shuddhi. So, what is Bhava Shuddhi? Bhava Shuddhi is a word used to propagate moral purity or purity of your feeling and thought. So, it is basically purity of thought. So, Ashoka lays stress on purity of thought, which is Bhava Shuddhi, and then further says that Bhava Shuddhi can be attained through the policy of Alpa Vyaya and Alpa Sangriha. So, what is Alpa Vyaya and Alpa Sangriha? As far as Buddhism goes, it speaks about, you should not be collecting more than what you need. So, Ashoka also lays stress on this in these 2 philosophy. First, he asks his subjects not to not to incur in expenditure. You should not spend lot of money, neither should you collect lot of money more than what you needed. So, Ashoka is specifically talking about a socialist society where people will be responsible for others as well. So, they will not collect more than what they need, and they will not spend more than what is required. So, this is basically the aspect of Dhamma, the main characteristic of Dhamma, and what Dhamma speaks about. So, in our next class, we are going to talk about the effect of Dhamma in Mauryan Empire.